Hey there guys, welcome back to Walford Whispers, your weekly dose of Eastenders gossip. I am here today to do a rundown review of this week's Eastenders episodes. Now, I absolutely love Eastenders, but sometimes we get an amazing week of episodes, and then other times we get okay episodes, and I do feel that this week was the okay episode era. Now you've got to remember that all UK soaps in the summer do tend to be a bit more laid back, building up some storylines ready for the autumn, and it's the autumn time where storylines really kick off. This was a big Linda week because her alcoholism turned life-threatening when she almost drank herself to death. It all happens when Bernie comes up with an idea to get Linda alone, apply her with alcohol so she can try and get the truth out of her about Keanu's death, because Bernie, she thinks that it was Sharon and thinks that Linda, her best friend, is protecting her. Now thankfully Linda doesn't blurt anything out to Bernie, but this does lead to Linda and Johnny having a massive argument when he catches her drinking with Bernie, resulting in Johnny saying things that he clearly wouldn't normally say, things that he doesn't really mean, but he does tell Linda that he wishes that she was dead instead of Mick. Naughty Johnny. It is heartbreaking when Linda is found unconscious in bed and hardly breathing before then being rushed into the hospital, but I do really hope that Linda can get through this, because the way she is going at the moment, she is going to end up dead. I am not actually a huge fan of the Linda drinking storyline. I hated it when it all began in 2019 and 2020, and I hate it now. Now I know alcoholism and alcoholics, it is an important story to tell, and I suppose Linda continuing to fall off the wagon does keep into the reality of the story, but please, EastEnders writers, please make Linda well again. I'm starting to feel that Linda's alcoholic storyline is just going round in circles at the moment, seeing the same thing every week, week in, week out, sometimes every couple of weeks. I think it's just now time for Linda's character to get into the rehab and sort her life out once and for all. I mean, Phil Mitchell did it. If he can do it, then so can Linda. We saw a very different side to Johnny this week within all of the Linda drama. We witnessed Johnny shouting and being quite aggressive with many characters, including Linda. I mean, he's getting angry and upset because he doesn't want to see his mother end up in prison, and I suppose I can understand his frustration, but wow, Johnny really has developed quite the temper, and I love it. 2 weeks ago, I mentioned that, Johnny and Callum, I reckon that they were going to be getting it on, and it almost happened this week because Johnny ended up kissing Callum when Callum was comforting him in the Vic. Now, Callum, he did pull away and he said that he can't do this behind Ben's back, even though Ben is in prison and probably doing it with some of those, hot American fit prisoners. But Callum is loyal, and I do think that Callum probably is attracted to Johnny, but he's trying to be sensible. But how long can Callum keep it in his pants is the big question. Now, I think Johnny and Callum would actually make a pretty hot couple. I mean, the Ben and Callum fans would absolutely hate it, but I've always felt that Callum was way too good for Ben Mitchell, and he could do so much better. Oh, I totally forgot to mention, Johnny completely loses it with Gina because he put Gina in charge of looking after Linda, and then of course Linda ended up in hospital. Now, it really wasn't Gina's fault at all, and poor Gina did not deserve that. I mean, Johnny, he ends up telling Gina to move out of the Vic, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute there, Johnny, you are not in charge of who can and cannot stay in the Vic. Know your place, sunshine. Gina does end up moving out, and first of all she goes and asks her brother Junior if she can move in with him, but Junior ends up saying no, because as we all know, Junior is having it off with Gina's mum Cindy, which is another storyline that I am currently not enjoying at the moment. I totally get it. Cindy has always been one to stray and have affairs behind Ian's back. It's just in her character's nature. Ian does not satisfy Cindy in any shape or form, but he does provide for her, and in a weird way, Cindy feels safe being with Ian, but everything else is just a no-no. Cindy wants to get her end away, and she really enjoys the thrill of having an affair. But I am not enjoying the Junior and Cindy scenes. I found their scenes quite boring this week. I think the only interesting thing to come out of this storyline this week was when George turned up wanting to know what Junior was playing at by telling Gina no, she can't move in with him, and he really hurt her feelings. And then of course George spotted those lady shoes on the floor, and he came very, very, very close to catching Cindy in the bedroom. But apart from that, for me, it's a bit of a snooze fest. I know the writers are probably building this up for an explosive reveal at some point in the future. I'm guessing probably around the Christmas time mark, but I would actually be totally happy for this storyline just to end. I mean, when Ian, George and Gina and Anna, when they find out about this, there's going to be no going back. And then what? What would be next for Cindy? Speaking of storylines that I am currently getting really bored of is Reese and Sonia. Oh god, I just want Reese to be found out now. I am totally done with him lying and scamming the neighbours and Sonia believing his constant lies. I honestly have no idea where they are going with this storyline, but something needs to change or heat up, or even better, just conclude the storyline. I did see some photos for next week of Sonia apparently being arrested. No idea why or what for, but hopefully this is the beginning of the end of this Reese storyline. Now, I did actually end up enjoying when we watched Phil bully Reese in the gym, demanding his money back, and he apparently has until Monday to do it. Reese then wanted Sonia to run away with him, but thank God Sonia didn't want to go ahead with it in the end. But could this be the end of Reese's storyline? I bloody hope so. Freddie was finding himself a little bit of piggy in the middle between Anna and Bobby. Anna clearly has the hots for Freddie, but doesn't want to admit it. In fact, everyone can pretty much see it, including sister Gina, and Anna was actually behaving a little bit bitchy towards Gina this week, and I really wasn't okay with it. Gina was trying to encourage Anna to end things with Bobby because it's obvious that she has feelings for Freddie. Makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, Anna and Freddie, they've already slept with each other once, and it's definitely going to happen again, and it wouldn't surprise me if this will be part of a storyline that leads to Bobby's exit. And finally, Bernie, Felix and Chelsea, they have been house hunting after Gray has put the house up for sale. Now Chelsea decides to move back in with Patrick and her mum with baby Jordan because she cannot afford anywhere, and then Sharon steps in and offers to lend Bernie some money for her and Felix to stay in one of Jack's properties. Now, Sharon has a feeling that Bernie is up to something after everything that happened with Bernie giving Linda the alcohol, and Sharon then discusses her thoughts with Phil, and Phil agrees for Sharon to stay close to Bernie to see what she's up to. Now, I love the moment where Sharon offers to lend the money to Bernie in the pub, and then Bernie is like, oh, thanks. And then we see that little look in Bernie's face because, as I said, she thinks it's Sharon who killed Keanu, and Sharon offering this money to Bernie is literally adding fuel to the fire. So many characters are now involved in this Keanu storyline. I am so excited to see what happens during the week of Dean's trial. I reckon it is going to be so so intense and it's going to be an epic week of EastEnders, and I really wouldn't be surprised if we do get a cheeky little Shirley Carter return, and maybe even Carly returning, because, you know, Dean's sister, Carly. Be interesting. But all in all, an okay week with EastEnders, which again, it isn't a bad thing, because we can't be having, you know, on the edge of your seat cliffhangers in every episode and every week. We've got to let storylines build up. I think my favourite moment this week is Phil scaring Reese at the boxing den, and my least favourite moment is anything to do with Cindy and Junior. But now I would like to hear some of your thoughts. What do you guys think of this week's EastEnders episodes, and what are your predictions for Dean's upcoming trial? I will be very interested to hear. On that note, I am going to wrap up this video. Thank you all for watching today. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Stay safe out there, and I will see you all next time.